Hey everyone, welcome to the Ancap Barber Shop. This episode we are interviewing Elijah Boyd and we are discussing The Tale of Two Georges. Episode 49 begins now.
Hello friends, welcome to the Ancap Barber Shop, your source for libertarianism and anarchy. Now for your host, the legendary, the inimitable, Adam Brown. And of course yours truly, Scott McDonald, the Ancap Barber. I feel smushed. Up over here. I'm used to being in the middle of... For anybody that doesn't know, Scotty is always on the ones and twos on the Ancap Barber Shop, which is the show that you're listening to. But today, we've got some camera stuff moved around. I think this episode will actually probably go up high definition, HD, on YouTube with some fucking some scene switching, some camera stuff. Yeah, look at that. We got Adam over there.
That's pretty hot.
Yeah. And the chocolatey voice that you hear to my left. Well, I guess you don't hear voices one way or the other. But anyways, it's Elijah Boyd.
Hi.
My dear
Welcome to the
friend.
show, Elijah.
How's it going, ANCAP listeners?
Well, I don't know. I can't answer for them, but they're probably doing okay.
Well, they just answer to themselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just wherever you're at, quietly repeat or at the top of your lungs. Tell Elijah how you feel. If you're, in the bathroom, at your job, on your phone, listening or whatever, or watching on YouTube. Yeah, check it out.
There's somebody who's going to reply to themselves. I know it.
But today, we've got a couple of things going on, and I think number one is just to get right into the news.
Welcome to the Ancap Barber Shop, and this is Ancap Barber Boy News.
Yeah, so like we just said, we've got Elijah Boyd with us today, and he is running for State House District 10. Is that correct?
That's right, in Alabama.
Excellent. In Alabama, which is where we're at now, if you're not familiar, specifically in North Huntsville. And you are also the vice chair of the Libertarian Party of Madison County?
Yes.
Is that correct? Excellent. Cool. And we've got a couple of questions about your campaign and personal stuff, too, we're going to get into. But I've got a couple of voicemails that I think we're going to listen to first. Everybody ready for some voicemails?
Hit me.
Sweet.
Hello, Ancap Barber Shop. I got haircut there 3 weeks ago. You took off my whole head. I wouldn't recommend. 10 out of 10, no recommend. I'll never come back to this barber shop again. I tell you what, I came in there to get shaved beard. You know shaved beard. You shaved top of my head clean off. Lots of blood came out of my head. I tell you what, my friend, I would never, ever come back to your barber shop again. I really don't appreciate what you've done to my scalp. Now I can't wear my turban, and I know God see Allah and wear my 72 virgins. No, I do not recommend you going to your barber shop again. Peace. Allahu Akbar.
I was going to ask what kind of accent that was until the end there.
It's pretty obvious.
Was it? I don't know.
I think so. I was about to say, I believe that's... Well, I don't believe. I know that's one of my friends, Mark, that has called in for... I mean, it's probably like half the voicemails have been from him. Like most of the good ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. Daryl Perry's voicemail was very good.
Yeah.
He set it straight on Jimmy Stewart and
James Dean.
Which I'm still
who knows?
Not 100% on all that. But, I don't remember doing this. I did. My AC's been busted, and I've kind of got it halfway working now. It is kind of stuffy in here, but it was like just straight up staying as hot as it is outside. I wasn't doing shit. And I did a head shave under those conditions, and that's tough because dude's head is like sweaty and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His hair's getting all over you and sticking to you.
It's sticking to his head while I'm trying to shave his head, and then I'm sweating onto him, and it's just gross. But yeah, thanks for the call. I don't remember what you said your name is, but I'm just gonna say Mark because that's who you are.
And I put my dick in a polywog, spit out in it was a frog. So I put my dick in a rattlesnake, bam, that was a big fucking mistake, because it's frog off that purple and black, and it's good luck. So
Did you catch any of that?
No,
Here's a tip: don't try to read the transcription because, like, if it's something that you can hear what they're saying and you read that, it's so fucked up that you just don't get anything. But yeah, I didn't catch any of that.
I couldn't understand the first part, and so I just tuned out. And I was like, whatever.
I heard something about
if he
dick.
wanted to be heard, he would have spoke more clearly.
Yeah, no, I heard
Clearly.
Yeah, clearly. More clearly.
I heard something about dick, and then it sounded like he kind of escalated. I don't know.
that's the name of the fucking song. Yeah, Ancap Barber Shop is a registered trademark of idiocy audio and moronic media. All rights reserved for the rich and powerful and anyone like you. Ancap Barber Shop is heard everywhere except we're prohibited by good taste. You're taking a rattlesnake.
Dragon, I didn't catch all of that, but I enjoyed it anyway. I've got one more. This is definitely, I have pre-listened to this one, and it's one of my favorites. I think you're really gonna like it, Adam. You ready?
Oh yeah, I'm ready. Sorry, I thought you were playing it. I was waiting.
Hannibal Buress.
That's it.
That is my favorite one.
That's
so far.
it's good, isn't it? I don't know why or what for or how or when, but I like it.
He just knew that Hannibal Buress was one of my favorite comedians.
So that's all the voicemails I've got this time.
You know, Hannibal Buress isn't even my favorite comedian for stand-up comic stuff. It's literally just for the fucking Eric Andre show.
Right.
That's why. Just the work he's done there.
It took me a minute to get into Hannibal Buress because I didn't understand
The
his
dryness.
comedy. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I found out he was like under Mitch Hedberg, or Mitch Hedberg had given him some things. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
dude, it
I didn't know
all
that. Yeah.
falls into place. That is exactly it. And now he's like my favorite. You know, like
You just gotta like that was
you know, and it's partly missing Mitch, but
yeah, that was the same way when I first listened to Mitch Hedberg. I was like, I don't know what to expect out of this, and then like the first couple jokes, I was like, okay, and then now I'm just like, oh my god, it's fucking hysterical, it's genius, it's comic genius. That's my story of how I got into Mitch Hedberg.
No, keep going.
That was it. That's currently where I'm at with Mitch Hedberg. So the story continues.
Adam used to do drugs.
Yep.
So if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can do that at 256-607-3197. And we highly encourage you to do so. We appreciate it, and we probably won't give people your phone number.
As you can see, we pretty much play anything. So go ahead and send whatever.
No, I almost forgot. So there was actually one that I didn't play, and it wasn't because of any racist stuff or anything like that. It was because I think it was an old recording of a wrestling thing, and it was something about Ric Flair winning a belt or something. But which I would be more than happy to play. The only problem is however they went about doing it, it came across very, very quiet. And so I wonder if that was Jonathan.
Maybe. It might have been Daryl Perry.
It might have been, but
Those are the only two big wrestling fans I know. So
yeah. So whatever. Yeah, let me know who that was, or just resend it to me. Just make it like much louder. It was very quiet. Couldn't hear it. So, but yeah, let's go ahead and get into our interview. This is the first time we've ever interviewed a local politician, isn't it? I think so.
yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Unless,
well, we've had Alan Barksdale on.
but I don't know. Was he?
He wasn't running for anything.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah.
He's ran before.
Oh yeah.
he
Yeah.
has,
Certainly.
Mhm.
Certainly. So yeah, I guess this is. Okay. Well, this is on par with the 22nd episode.
What was
Maybe.
that with Alan Barksdale?
I think
have
so.
no idea.
Okay, this
No
is
clue.
this is nobody cares. So let's just go ahead. I'm going to ask you, Elijah, what's it like running for local office?
Well, I have no idea that I'm doing it right.
Okay, excellent.
There's a lot of things, I'm learning as I go. maybe this experience won't be the same, for other folks running for local office.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun, and it's kind of scary too, because I feel like everything is amplified, even though I have 80 followers on my Facebook so
Right.
far, but I still feel making a mistake would be a bigger deal than in doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've the prospect or the idea of running for local office is one of those things that for me would be pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
But I also remember, like, before we started the podcast, it was like, oh man, hundreds of thousands of people are going to be listening to us, and they might try to dox us or whatever, and that was pretty scary. But so far, nobody has. I don't think it's worked out pretty well.
Yeah. I think what you were just saying, something that reminds me of something my dad used to say. He'd be like, he would say, "One all shit takes away all your attaboys." I don't know if that's a normal saying.
Can I get that one more time?
Yeah,
I wasn't ready.
One all shit takes away all your attaboys, right? So like
one all shit takes away all your attaboys.
all
Yeah,
shit. Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah, so like you in his situation, he can do everything perfect. He can be ready. He can or he can come on to shows like ours. But then
If me and Stormy Daniels gets caught in a bed
the
together,
first
and then
time
it's
he drops
all out the
yeah,
window.
Exactly.
I
It's,
didn't understand one AWE shit.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying one all ALL shit.
One
and
O shit, whatever you want to say.
okay, yeah. I was hung up on
the southern drawl.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, so I imagine that's a lot of what it's like. You have to be really careful about what you say, even in, behind what you would consider behind closed doors or whatever.
Yeah, hold on. Can I get it one more time in your dad's voice?
Can we make a sound clip on that?
Yeah, I mean that.
One all shit takes away all your attaboys.
All right, that's going on the soundboard
There you
if I remember to do it.
There you go. Not that we need anything else on the soundboard, Scott.
Right.
And there's plenty of brilliant people in the liberty movement, not just libertarians, but ANCAPs as well.
Right.
Minarchists, and I don't want to represent them poorly.
Right.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be an immense amount of pressure.
Yeah.
Although I would have a hard time thinking that you would be doing that.
Yeah, whatever I do here, winning state house is not the goal. It's a freer world, for our children.
Excellent. Yeah, getting the message out.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your platform? And I mean, you don't necessarily have to go super deep on any one thing, but just kind of take us through, the stuff that you've been talking about.
Well, the first item I got on the platform is prison reform.
Cool.
One of the other guys put me onto this that's in the Libertarian Party. He's a corrections officer down in southern Alabama, and the prisons are overcrowded, to say the very least.
Right.
They're dangerous for the inmates and for the prisoners, and I think while we have them in captivity, their livelihood, their welfare is on us.
Yeah.
That represents how we treat them is a reflection of ourselves, not of anything that they've been convicted of.
Yeah. I think some liberals are good on that issue. I think the big thing with, I guess, like a lot of right-wing people are going to be like, well, they're criminals. They deserve to be in there. So I want as little of my money going towards them as possible, and I don't give a fuck about them. Which I'm not saying by any stretch of by any stretch of the imagination you should be forced to send your money to anything. But irregardless, my biggest thing isn't so much that I care about how rapists and murderers are treated. I care mostly about the fact that there are so many people that are in prisons for nonviolent crimes. Right. So many people that are in prison for drugs or gambling, prostitution, what have you. So, I mean, to me, just having, I don't know, eating a slice of humble pie and saying, well, let's make sure that we're at least having some standard of living for these people. I understand the idea that some people have to be separate from society because they have committed legitimate crimes and are a danger, but at the same time, with our current system, it doesn't sound like a bad place to start for me. And it's also really interesting that the person that kind of turned you on to the idea was a corrections officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So it's the ideas in Montgomery so far about our prison problem is raise taxes, build more prisons, and put more people in jail.
Right.
And Alabama's incarceration rate is higher than the national average, and our national average is the highest in the world.
Wow.
So I don't think we can get along disrupting Alabama communities like that, and we need to figure out how we stop crime before it happens.
Sure. Yeah.
And people that haven't hurt anyone else and haven't taken other people's stuff should not be in jail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I can back that 100%.
That's I mean, because it's just so many of the people that are in there is just for, you get pulled over and you've got fucking weed in your car, or whatever, and or whatever the pretense is that happens. To me, and a lot of people go, well, people that smoke crack, they steal shit and whatever. It's like, okay, well, if somebody steals something, that's a legitimate NAP violation or a property rights violation or whatever. That's something that has to be dealt with. There has to be some sort of redress there or whatever. But if somebody, up until that point, if somebody's smoking crack or smoking meth or shooting heroin in their living room, how's it any of my business? You know? And I guess maybe there are some situations where it's like, oh, this person, has a kid where the community might need to think about doing something. But, and even that sounds bad. Even just saying that, it's like, oh, well, you just think of every fucking person out there that has kids and smokes a joint at the end of the day or whatever.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Obviously, that's not what I'm talking about.
It's a tough road to go down, because if on one hand, if someone is in their living room doing heroin all day or doing opiates all day and not
have a train spotting situation going on,
and they can't even pay attention to their kid, and their kid's living in squalor, not getting his diapers changed and shit, then it's common sense. Someone would want to remove that kid and help that kid,
And that person would be guilty of neglect.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then they've committed a crime other than doing heroin.
Yeah.
Which probably shouldn't be a crime.
Right.
But there's a huge difference between that and sitting in your living room smoking a joint and being a good parent.
Right. And I think a good way to think about, because I don't like the idea of I guess maybe responsibility isn't the best word, but just owing somebody else something for no reason, but at the same time, like if you invite somebody onto your hot air balloon and you take them hundreds of feet up in the air, it kind of stands to reason that you can't just go like, oh, this is my property, get off right now, I'm done with you. You kind of have a responsibility since you agreed to take them up. There's an assumption there that they would want you to take them.
So
back
there
down.
is some sort of social responsibilities, right, in that sense, that you sort of owe.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. But I mean,
in this case, he's limited to your kids that you do have an actual responsibility for
to raise them to the best of your ability.
Sure,
you're right.
And so I guess I'm not 100% Rothbardian when it comes to that. But I don't know. I think if you bring a kid into this world, you should fucking take care of it.
I don't
best
think.
of your ability.
I think. Sorry if I say it like, because I think some Rothbardian stuff is weird about like, if your kid wants to walk out on the road, he's a free person. You can't physically stop him or whatever. That's kind of ridiculous. I don't know too many people who are really backing that up.
Sure.
But I think it's pretty safe to say that when you have a kid, like like your daughter's age or something, it's safe to say that their rights have to fall back on you because they don't understand what to do with those rights.
Right.
And,
Right.
So I think that's just the best way to be about it. What age would you fucking give that back to them? I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't even necessarily think you can put a number on it. I think it's a case by case basis.
Exactly.
Some people don't grow up to their 24. Some people, at 16 are ready to live on their own.
Well, it's pretty much common knowledge that your brain doesn't stop developing until your mid-20s.
Right.
Right. I don't know. But that I don't know. You should probably be able to move out before then. I moved out much earlier than that, but I've changed a lot since then as well.
Sure. Elijah, do you want to talk about some more of your platform with us?
Sure. So right after prison reform, we have legalizing marijuana.
Excellent.
It's not a huge percentage of the population in prisons, right? But anything we can do to bring that down, I think is a good idea. and marijuana will be legal in Alabama.
Sooner or later, anyways.
Yeah.
The question is only how long will it be left to upend people's lives.
Right.
So
How long will you let people sit in jail
Yeah.
and suffer? You
In a-
know?
in a
How
li-
many people's lives will you ruin after pulling them over? How many
Right.
kids are you going to throw in jail and start a school to prison cycle for it? You know, and how
And-
much longer are we going to allow that to happen?
Right. And
dads and moms taken away from their kids.
exactly. And not to give anything away, but just to tease the latter segment in our show, the state of Georgia has officially legalized cannabis.
It's not true.
Yeah, it's not true.
What's a different definition of
it-
state?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess
it's
so. I mean,
something-
you know,
something like that.
technically, in parentheses, you might be right. You know, like,
I was legitimately like, oh, well, never mind. I'm not going to say anything incriminating. But, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Elijah.
So in Alabama, we do have Lenny's Law, which decriminalizes possession of CBD oil.
right.
I'm not quite sure the percentage, but it does have some THC in it. But there's no access to that CBD oil. And I've heard that the young girl it was named after, Lenny, still could not use, or she doesn't, the CBD oil she uses now in Oregon is not legalized under this law.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
it's weird that they would name it after her.
It's
And,
not weird at
yeah.
all. That's exactly
Yeah.
what politicians do.
Yeah,
So
That's the most disgusting thing to me.
right.
Is just, especially whenever it's a child, you know, a child that maybe, you know, trapped inside their own body. They may be, you know, heavily autistic or something like that and can't communicate well and suffers seizures all the time, has to take all kind of medication. And then the state says, no, you know, there's this thing now that works. Says, no, you can't do it. You can't make the best decision for your kid because some bullshit from the 20s, you know. So I don't know. I certainly think it seems like and I mean that I thought that was pretty much at a federal level for okay now, but I guess there are
CBD
some
oil?
yeah.
I don't know how that works. I
And
was
it's-
going to
I
ask,
mean,
can you buy it in Alabama?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean I have it now.
yeah, like straight CBD oil with zero THC.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying.
Gotcha.
But
You know,
it's decriminalized a small amount of THC oil
Okay.
in this THC in the CBD oil.
Right.
oh really? Okay, that's cool.
If you have a doctor's prescription for
Right,
it.
okay.
So I mean, it's
So medically, not recreationally, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's medically decriminalized of all things.
Would you guys jump on like if there was just like medical cannabis? Would you get on like because I've been thinking about that, and there's been a couple of places now that have legalized medical marijuana, and people have started getting cards and everything, and then the sheriff's office comes by and says, "Oh hey, guess what? You can't have guns now because you're a fucking drug addict."
Yeah.
And I'm not all about that. So
If marijuana was legalized only medicinally, I would not try and go get a script for marijuana. now.
fuck no.
Because it would just increase the abundance that it's around, anyways.
Right.
And like I mean, even if I was a pothead, which I'm not, I'm sure I could find a way to smoke it much safer. Or, I
Right.
mean, like in a safe way, you know, without thinking I'm going to get arrested. You know.
Yeah,
for doing
even just like when Colorado legalized, it completely changed the scene everywhere because I mean California too, but it's just it's so easy to travel, you know, intrastate or whatever with it. But yeah, go on, Elijah. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
Oh, you weren't interrupting us. It's conversation, right?
We sidebar pretty hard sometimes.
So yeah, medical marijuana is probably a good first step. We're decriminalizing, you know, whole plant marijuana, right? We, you know, by only allowing CBD oil or only in certain forms, we're basically giving away this free plant to pharmaceutical companies. You know, when we could grow it in our own backyard, we could medicate without the need for any kind of doctor intervention, right? There doesn't need to be any other people collecting money off of this transaction.
Yeah.
Because we know coming from a pharmaceutical company, it's going to be, 3 times the price that it would cost to make it, you know, in any other free market way.
Sure.
You know, I think, well, it's not the exact same situation, but in Oregon, I want to say, they legalized it, but they taxed it like so hard, so ridiculously hard that it didn't destroy the black market at all. Like
Right.
no one for a long time went to go buy it legally because it was cheaper to just get it from out of state because it was taxed so heavily in state, you know. So
Right.
the black market stayed, 100% intact.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm over here playing with
Board hopping,
playing with
hardcore,
my
yeah.
camera switch, and I'm
Mhm.
excited.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, and for like I said, this will more than likely eventually go on YouTube. But if you want to see us live whenever we record the episode and catch all the fuck ups and hijinks and all that stuff, then just donate to our Patreon. Any amount gets you into the live stream group. But yeah, go ahead, Elijah.
All right. Next item on there, I've got end unfair taxes, which a lot of these big corporations, Facebook, Remington, Toyota, Mazda, the state and local governments have given them incentives that's not afforded to small and medium-sized companies that have been in Huntsville, been in Alabama, contributing to the economy. And I don't think that is what we should be doing with our money. And the worst case, lots of time, I just was talking to a Huntsville City Councilman, and he really believes that there's a net benefit for the city, and on the books there is,
Sure.
For tax breaks for big companies.
yeah,
Mm.
The jobs that come in,
Right.
Whatever that money is, let's lower the economic and financial burden on all companies, and we won't be able to measure how much the economy has benefited.
Yeah, it would give people a chance to compete for one, and
Right.
that alone would just, I don't know how much that could stimulate is unmeasurable, I would imagine.
Yeah. And that's one thing that people in general don't. I mean, and maybe some right wing people do. Mostly libertarians. People don't really look out for small business owners. People just think look out for for workers, organized labor, which I think that's great. I mean, absolutely. I don't own a business for real. Anything significant, but I mean. At the end of the day, those people get shafted more than anybody else does.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just think about the clip where I believe it was a lady from Florida. It was at some sort of Bernie Sanders rally or some election thing here a couple of years ago. But the lady gets up and she says, hey, I have this many salons and I employ all these people. And I want to open a new salon, but I can't afford it because of healthcare regulations. And it's just, I don't know. I guess I understand, like, it's a nice idea that everybody that runs a business be able to provide health care to people. But healthcare is fucking expensive. I mean, the thing to do would be to fix that problem and make it cheap to where everybody can. But, I mean, this is, and his answer was so crummy. It was just like, well, I just believe that everybody, that runs a business should provide healthcare to their employees. It's like, well, okay, I'm running a business. I'm employing all these people. I think she had like 5, and she was wanting to open up a 6th, but it came down to the number of employees in your company total, something like that.
Right. Would opening up that one more salon be worth paying, X amount of dollars for X amount of employees and their benefits, that are mandatory?
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, if you want to do some sort of voluntary labor organization, say, hey, these are the people that are in our union, and the only way that they're going to work for you, and they have something to offer to the table from being in this union, is you have to provide this, and this. That's fine, but just across the board, it's a spit in the face to me to tell me like, oh, you can't make your own decisions,
Right.
About because maybe I want to work at something to where I know I can work hard, I could do 15 haircuts a day. I could bust my ass, make a bunch of money, and buy my own insurance. Maybe I would rather do that as opposed to, it works out differently for every individual. And once again, healthcare is terrible here. I understand that, and that needs to be remedied. But what are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
So would you go in more favor of like a flat tax for all companies in said business, or would you increase the taxes on larger businesses and decrease taxes on smaller businesses? If that makes any sense.
It didn't
Well,
make sense to me.
A flat tax is definitely more fair, as far as and not being able to like give out these incentives to the large companies.
Right.
But actually, in Alabama, our corporate tax income is about 3% of the budget. I mean,
Wow.
we could likely just abolish corporate taxes altogether.
Right.
I mean,
I
those
like the sound of that.
outside of corporate taxes, they're still paying property tax and
Sure.
Right.
and that's a lot of the revenue or those incentives are given in breaks in property taxes and things like that.
Okay. Interesting.
What else are you talking about in your campaign?
Occupational licensing.
Ooh, okay. This is a very interesting thing.
That hits
and
a note
you
close
might
to
know
Scott.
more about
Yeah.
this.
It's I mean, I'll just say like my situation for a couple of years now has been like I want to cut hair. I'm not terrible at it at this point. I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I like of all and I almost get it. I almost understand it for some things. I really don't. I think occupational licensing should not be a mandatory thing whatsoever. I think people should be able to make their own fucking decisions. But of all things, there's somebody that fucking cuts hair. I mean, I should be able to go out and find somebody that will hire me to sweep hair and to do this and to fold towels and to do whatever and then to start cutting for tips and to work my way up. Because the whole thing is like, I have a family, right? And right now I work full time. Plus I do this podcast and everything. I've got to organize my life in a way to where I can take off work for the most part for a year. Because there is no online barbering classes. You have to go and cut hair. I mean, and like I said, the thing that would be optimal is if I could just go ahead and start working, and I'm gonna have to take a pay cut anyway.
Yeah.
But it's cutting fucking hair.
Right. I mean, that's what's interesting is I work in restaurants. I cook food and I manage a kitchen. I can't picture your job being much more dangerous to the health of your customers than mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can always, of course, like cut somebody's throat or something with a razor by accident. You know what I mean?
That's
But
not
like-
even like. I mean, I think the whole thing is like sanitation.
Right.
Because
You
who's like that scared of a bad haircut?
Right.
People are gonna figure out.
So you can give Magic Johnson a shave
Mhm.
and then nick him and then give me a shave and then nick me and then bam, I've got HIV or whatever. That's a big deal.
Sure. Yeah. Not
That's-
cleaning your
Right.
tools.
That's serious business. But I can
And
also.
no one will play basketball with you anymore.
I know. Exactly. I'm gonna have to
Yeah. Or you might not be able to shoot porn with your favorite porn star.
Oh God.
Which you can't do
couldn't
for a
live
couple
with-
of reasons now.
But I mean, in my job, I work with sharp kitchen knives of like 100 different sizes. You know what I mean? You have serrated knives, you have paring knives, you have big knives, like whatever. You know what I mean? And there's no reason that I can't chop my own finger off, or
Right.
I can hold it the wrong way and then trip and stab my coworker. You know what I mean? And, like just as life threatening as AIDS. You know what I mean? So I can't picture why I wouldn't need a license, but you do. You know what I
Right.
mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I
Yeah.
can serve raw chicken and give somebody salmonella, and if they're older, they're gonna die, or if they're an infant, they're gonna die. You know,
Yeah.
or if they're sickly, they're gonna die. Like I can store food wrong in the cooler, bam, salmonella drips on something. Once
Sure.
again, like it's no jobs are safe. They all come with occupation hazards. Why do some randomly require a license like that? That's what throws me off.
Can I get one more? You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I cut my own hair.
It looks great.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it looks really good.
I got a straight razor.
Oh, do you have a disposable blade straight razor?
I do.
Okay,
Disposable, yeah.
excellent. That's
Use a little the half safety blades.
Yep. That's what I use to edge people up, and every haircut I throw in a neck shave with a straight razor.
I love that
Those,
part. It's my
yeah,
favorite part.
those are nice, man. And those are really good for use. I have real straight razors that I use, and they're hard to maintain, and you don't really want to touch two people with the same blade. That's
Right.
kind of icky.
So you just throw the blade away.
We
and
got
get
like
a new one.
Barbasol or something, right?
Yeah, and metal isn't very porous, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's something. It's not just like it's not a comb or a brush or clippers. It's something that could really cut you, and it's just worth not fucking around with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd hate if it get like a nick in the blade and then you got to deal with that for the
Right.
rest. You buy a new blade, right?
Right, exactly.
So
It's
I use the
probably-
disposable blades, and
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
the first 3 weeks, it was kind of messed up, and now I feel like I know my way around a razor blade.
That's intense. I've shaved my head with all kinds of different things, and that like I maybe once or twice. 'Cause I shave other people's head with a straight razor. Shaving your own head is 10 times harder. It is immensely.
I'm sure there's a lot of blind spots. I'm sure it's a pain in the ass.
Well, it's different than like a double edge or a cartridge razor or whatever. Just because you have to have the angle right, you have to have the pressure right. You can't see what you're doing, and I've butchered myself doing that. But
You can get better.
yeah, probably. But I don't know. At this point, I'm just kind of growing it out, and I think I'm gonna let it
put
go.
the hat back on.
Yeah. It doesn't look great, but I'm thinking if I get a little bit of length, I just go straight back and go like Sopranos. You know what I mean?
You need, which I've told you before, you just need to rock, well, I know it's hot right now, but a beanie, dude. Beanie looks good on you for some reason.
Yeah, no, I
It
do
looks
rock a
great on you.
beanie. That's a good point. It's hard right now.
Then, but then no one will even know you're bald, you know?
Yeah, I'll totally go beanie once it gets a little bit colder. Do you want to take us through the last item on your platform?
Oh well, I want to say a little bit more about.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That was what actually I had notes about.
Oh, cool.
Occupational licensing.
So AlabamaPolicy.org has put out a study on occupational licensing in Alabama.
Really?
Yep. So I don't know if you can put that in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
People can look that up. I mean, this is their work and not
Send
mine.
it to me if you don't mind after
Sure.
the show, and I'll do that.
They say 151 occupations and 21% of the Alabama workforce is licensed,
Wow.
which includes interior designers, hair braiders, auctioneers, midwives.
What?
Yeah, and I mean, I believe in the market, right? And Yelp can solve all of these things.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
a shitty barber, you will get a new job, right?
Hair braiding is one of those things where you have to go through cosmetology school. You have to learn how to do nails. You have to learn how to color people's hair. You have to go through all this stuff.
Just to
When
braid hair.
it's like, and I want to be careful how I say this, but I mean, if you're somebody that is very poor and you can braid hair well, you should be able to do that. I mean, how bad are you going to mess somebody up braiding their hair? You're not even cutting it, you know? And I mean, that should be something that you can use to help you get out of poverty, or, you know, or if you're not necessarily poor and that's just what you want to do, whatever it is, you should be able to make that your relationship with your clients should be between you and your clients. You know, I don't understand why somebody, well, I mean, I do understand. And it's the way this stuff starts is a lot of hairdressers get together and they say, you know, well, this is how we beat out our competition. Let's get policy passed that says you have to have this magic piece of paper that keeps people from coming into your store and demanding money from you.
Yeah, and some of these licenses require thousands of hours, hundreds or thousands of hours of education or, you know, formalized learning, you know, not just sweeping the floor at the local barber shop.
Right. Experience doesn't count, essentially.
Right. And at the end of that, they have to pay a licensing fee, and then get a low income job. I mean, it's not like
something like braiding hair. They're not making a ton of money braiding hair, I would imagine. You know.
And people, never mind. I had a point, and it'll come back to me in like 5 seconds, but it was just like that. It was gone.
I know how that goes.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
Something about barbering, and I don't know.
Whatever.
Keep going.
all that time lost in, well, I don't want to say it's lost. It's education, but all that time given to education is time that you're not earning any money also.
Right.
You know, so you're not even getting paid for sweeping the floors.
Yeah.
Right.
And at the end of the day, like the way it is now with the barbering community, continued education is such a huge part. It is so integral to people that are in this industry. Anybody that wants to get better and wants to make, you know, $100,000 a year cutting hair or whatever, what they're doing is they're constantly going to classes that people that are already there, people like
master barbers and stuff like that.
yeah, people like the guys from Headlines Barber Shop. They have 5 or 6 barber shops in I think it's Tampa now. I think they're opening one up in some other state. Chris Bosio and all those guys, Christian Perez. You know, they're master barbers. They are, I mean, and they have earned that title. They're not somebody, a lot of people that have been barbering for 2 years say they're master barbers, but these are guys that have been doing it, and they have all these shops, and they've been doing YouTube videos, which, I mean, even just that, like, I would still be interested in continuing my education. I want to do that either way.
Right.
But I want to do it on my own schedule. I don't want to have it mandated to me. You know what I mean? But yeah, I'm happy that I recovered my lost thought.
It's okay.
What else you got, Elijah?
Asset forfeiture, which is I think a big deal in this community, right?
Yeah.
And you know, at the onset, it's like, all right, well, they've done something wrong, and these are the proceeds from that crime.
Right.
Let's take that.
And just for our listeners that may not know, what exactly is civil asset forfeiture?
Well, civil asset forfeiture is that money and property that is suspected of being proceeds of a crime or used to commit a crime, or even, you know, into the future, right? Like that was going to be used to commit a crime, can be seized by law enforcement agencies, and that's it, right?
Right.
It's theirs now.
And then it's then theirs. It's from the onset, it sounds all right, except for we do have criminal asset forfeiture,
Right.
where folks have went to trial. They've been able to plead their case, give evidence that it's, you know, okay, that was, you know, my down payment on my house, and I'm moving, you know, across the country or something like that.
Those items weren't part of a crime.
Yeah.
Right. But there's none of those protections afforded in civil asset forfeiture.
Right. I think the most ridiculous case I heard of, and I can't remember where it was, but it was like a tour bus full of, I think it was like gospel singers. It was something to that effect, and they got pulled over, and they had a bunch of cash from their merch or whatever it was, and I don't know if they ever got it back or not, but they just that's for, that looks like drug money, so we're taking it, and it's just the whole thing is. They don't have to prove that. The burden of proof shifts to the person who owns the money. Oh, you have to come to us and prove that you didn't get that money illegally, and that completely. I mean, one of the cornerstones of our legal system here is the presumption of innocence, and I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
You know, you can't just grab somebody and throw them in a gulag for whatever reason. But, yeah,
that's one of those things that, I mean, civil asset forfeiture specifically is one of the things that it just, no matter what way you try and look at it, it can't make sense. You know, I don't know anyone who thinks that that's a good idea. You know, that someone can just show up just because they have a badge and say, what's yours is mine now.
Do you want to hear my Bill Maher impression?
Sure.
The Republicans do. The Republicans. That didn't sound like Bill Maher.
No, it didn't.
But that's what he would have said if he
I
was
don't know
here.
enough about what Bill Maher sounds like. I don't listen to Bill Maher.
Why don't you listen to Bill Maher?
I don't know. Never have.
Let's not talk about it.
Yeah, whatever.
I'm going to break out the good book.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so no one shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. It's our Fifth Amendment.
Right.
And like the more I read this, the more brilliant it becomes. But maybe I'm just deluding myself that anyone cares about was written a couple hundred years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So
I mean, it's just amazing that you can. You know, I mean, you can make it okay to violate the Fifth Amendment specifically. You know what I mean? Without, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just so weird.
And I think it's also a little bit perverse.
Yeah.
The law enforcement agencies use this to shore up their budget and also buy stuff that's on their wish list, which I am a minarchist. I think the police force should be fully funded.
Right.
Right. And I don't know how like contentious you guys are.
Nah,
Dude,
we're not going to give anybody any trouble.
Rothbard, Rothbard and Spooner are rolling in their graves right now because you whipped out the Declaration of Independence on the Ancap Barber Shop. No, I mean, I would talk to anybody, and I mean, honestly, it sounds like you've done a very good job of tailoring your platform to what's going on here, specifically in our
Right.
community.
Well,
And,
I hope so.
Yeah.
Why would anyone be frustrated because such a small difference between ideologies between us? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's this big.
yeah. When we started the show, I was really minarchist. I was totally for like,
Right.
I was like, we can fund roads, we can fund military, we can fund police, and outside of that, I don't have much else that I would want to fund. You know?
And most ANCAPs will tell you, like, hey, if we get to that perfect minarchist state, like, most of us are probably
Who's gonna
honestly
complain?
gonna find something else to do.
Yeah.
We're gonna find something else to talk about. We're gonna talk about the Sissy of Fremont Street and
Yeah.
the 4 strokes is all it takes guy. That's some more teasing.
So this civil asset forfeiture that goes into the law enforcement budget, I think, creates a perverse incentive that creates enforcement over drug law and things that have easy access and dollars and stuff over enforcement of theft and assault,
Right.
and other kinds of laws that actually deprive people of life and liberty.
Yeah. I think that's something that would also, monopolized or not, drastically improve relations with police officers, with the police force, is things like ending things like civil asset forfeiture and
that's something
drug legality
Right.
things.
That's something I'm sure even police can get behind. I mean, you don't want to get like police probably aren't behind getting rid of civil asset forfeiture,
Right.
but if they were on, if they were at the understanding where they would realize that it would help reduce stress and friction between them and the community that they're supposed to be protecting.
Sure.
I'm sure they would love that part,
Yeah.
because there's something terrible about being a cop where like every day when you put your uniform on, you don't know if it's the last day you're going to see your kids or not, you know what I mean?
Right.
And that just creates even more stress, and it's one of those things that's continued to grind and create friction and get worse and worse, and then it spills over with things like that shit that happened in Missouri, and the shit that happened in Baltimore, and the shit that's whatever, you know what I mean? The specific cases that I can't remember the names of those people.
Exactly.
But
Well, I know the names of those people.
yeah, it's one of those things I know a lot about it when it happens, and then I stop thinking about it, and
Right. What are the names of those people?
Mike Brown is the one in Ferguson.
yeah, right,
The one that really bothers me is Eric Garner in New York.
Right.
He had previously been, fined or ticketed or jailed. I'm not sure what for selling Lucy's in New York, which
Right.
they have a huge
It's just-
tax problem on.
right.
It's
cigarettes.
blatant. It's blatant. Even to where like the Mike Brown situation is, and to me it's a little fuzzy. And the reason why is because you could see video of him beating up an old man and robbing a store right before the incident, and that's almost an immediate like, well, I don't think that's. I don't know. I kind of do think that is a death sentence. I think if you're like, if that old man would have shot that kid,
it wouldn't have mattered then,
Right.
The old man had the right to,
yeah. And how old was Mike Brown when he died?
I don't know.
Oh, he's a teenager, like
Yeah.
19. or
Yeah,
something.
he was pretty young. He was he was 19, I think,
Well,
something like that.
Yeah. Even more so, the kid in Baltimore. I can't think of his name, but he was handcuffed and in the back of a police car.
Oh yeah.
Like he was put in the police car alive, and I think he was dead when he came out somehow. The specifics of that I may not be remembering specifically.
Oh,
Yeah.
there was like 6
Yeah.
officers involved in
Yeah.
that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the takeaway from that is they were in his care and he was healthy whenever he was put into the truck, and when he came out he was dead, right?
Right.
Or maybe he died a little bit later. I can't remember.
Mhm.
What was his name?
I can't remember.
Goodness gracious me.
Yeah.
I can't either.
I'll Google it for fun.
Google it, and while you're doing that, Elijah,
Yes.
I grew up in a home that had foster kids, and I have brothers that are through foster care that were eventually adopted. And little Birdie told me that you are a foster parent yourself. Will you tell us a little bit about what that's like?
Sure. Yeah, I've been a foster parent for 3, almost 4 years.
Right.
Me and my wife. We've had several placements, and I enjoy it. The kids, they're always unique, and
Yeah.
sometimes they have their own issues that might be troubling to get over, right? But
Absolutely.
I think there's joy in it. I have a lot of fun,
yeah.
and the more I, realize and study psychology and stuff like that, then like the more I can handle the troubles that come along with it.
Right.
So it's real fun.
How
We've also adopted too.
Okay.
So we have 2 adoptive children. We have 4 biological children, and then we have right now 2 foster kids.
So some quick math.
It's 8.
I know. I knew
You
that.
didn't know.
I know. I did. I did.
He did.
I was doing a bit. But wow, that is a house full. And how do the ages kind of range?
Oh, right. So my oldest son, he's about to turn 20.
Right.
So I mean, he's independent. He wipes his own butt.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
He can pour a bowl of cereal. There's nothing I have to do.
Right.
Like particular each day, right?
Yeah.
And he's actually also spent a year down at Troy, away at college. He's home now, but he's totally independent. Then all the way down to 1 right now.
Right.
So
Wow.
we've got 3 teenagers this week.
That's a spread.
Yeah.
Turns 20 at the end of.
No. So
Yeah.
continuing on. Sorry about that. I shouldn't have asked you about ages. If I have 1 and I have trouble sometimes. December the 3rd, 2014. That's it. And I know, and here's the thing. I know that one. I know my birthday. And if anybody wants to send me anything, it's September the 22nd. And I know my wife's. Outside of that, my dad, my mom, my grandparents, brothers, sisters. I have no idea. I'm sorry to everybody else in the world, but I don't have enough room in my brain to store your fucking birthdays.
Oh no, I know everyone's birthday.
Right.
I said my son's name and I was like, oh wait, maybe I shouldn't have done that. I'm not sure.
We can bleep it out. It's fine.
Not sure. He didn't consent to to the podcast.
Right. Well, I think the people that listen to the show tend to be decent people. We hope. But we'll see. We'll see where it goes in the future. Let me ask you this: and this is one of the things, kind of reviewing what you've been up to, that was very interesting to me. You had a motion passed that would have the National Libertarian Party condemn Attorney General Jeff Sessions.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about the process of getting this motion through? What that was like?
It was scary. I don't know if you saw the video. I had little shakes in there, and I hadn't really prepared myself for that. I didn't know.
I didn't pick up. I think you're selling yourself short. I didn't pick up on any kind of nervousness or anything like that.
Well, it was a big deal for me.
Sure.
There's like 800 folks in the convention hall, and we had this idea that, man, this dude, he really needs to be like told a lesson, and who better to say than the folks from Alabama,
right?
Yeah.
And we actually at the state convention, we had condemned Todd Intrican, the Etowah County Sheriff.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We
discussed him
had
a
an
couple
episode.
times.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He like after Rainbow City had filed all their charges, he came in and filed more. Because this guy had busted him out on TV. For some really crappy things that he was doing.
Right.
And so he trumped up the charges by measuring the entire weight of the butter.
Yeah.
With some minuscule ingredient.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
There was
on
a
the show.
quote that was, I wish I could recall what it was, because it was just ridiculous. And I can't think.
Oh yeah, when he was like, "This is
when it becomes
X amount."
When you mix the butter with the cannabis,
the whole thing
becomes a cannabis or something to that effect.
My response on the episode to that was like a get rich quick scheme. Just take a couple gold flakes, throw it in a swimming pool.
Right.
Fucking whole pool's made of gold now. You know. What I mean?
Exactly.
It's the same retarded logic.
Checks out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go way out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say official Ancap Barber Shop stance: fuck Jeff Sessions.
I can back that.
Yeah.
I'll allow it.
Oh, you got 2.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
I think that's enough.
I feel better now. It's starting to sweat.
So we got our own little high off of condemning Todd Entrican, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, we can't let this go down. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
we got more to
We're
do.
condemning everybody out here.
So I think that was back in March.
Mm.
That's when I got the party nomination for a state house candidacy.
Right.
Very cool.
And then, so yeah, I looked up, you know, what all the stuff that he's been doing, and you've watched the entire video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
And yeah, there's a lot of crappy stuff.
Mm.
You know, some things that definitely he can be condemned for.
Right.
He's done some good things, but on the whole, on the average,
I have yet to.
One all
hear
shit
about
takes
that.
away all your attaboys.
Right,
We're
right,
going
right.
full circle
well, he's
here.
got a lot of all shits.
Yeah, so
yeah,
one attaboy doesn't take away all his all
Right.
shits.
So that's what we brought up was, you know, his reversal of civil asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
He was allowing local municipalities to seize through federal authority,
Right. Right.
and kind of go around state laws on civil asset forfeiture. He's said things about people that smoke marijuana, that they're not good people.
Yeah, good people
Yeah.
don't smoke marijuana.
Yeah.
It's just how out of touch with your constituents do you have to fucking
Yeah.
be to say something that stupid? 'Cause, I mean, it's like even if you're in that position of keeping things like drug criminalization and asset forfeiture around, you have to have some like public relations, you know, unless you're just some ivory tower asshole
Right.
that has no idea what's going on in the fucking real world.
Yeah, he can probably get away with that in Alabama still.
Right,
yet,
right.
But
I guess that's a fair point. Yeah.
yeah, but now as an attorney general, he's representing California and Washington and Colorado,
Right.
Florida. I mean, all of these states now are realizing, you know, that this is not something that they should be controlling.
Right.
So I have one last question for you.
What's that?
I'd like to ask about one of the candidates running for City Council District 4 here in Huntsville. The local Libertarian Party had supported Jacob Onder's campaign, but has withdrawn support after screenshots of some questionable posts about raping women in an incel Facebook group started going around. What was it like having dirt like this come up on one of your candidates?
Well, that was that oh shit moment.
Yeah.
that he had came and talked to us, and there was some things that I guess were kind of suspicious.
Right, okay.
But there were some other things that he was good on, right?
Yeah.
And we had another member of our Libertarian Party that was going to run for himself as city council, and this guy came in, was like talking, and it's like the other guy, you know, kind of conceded to the guys, like, all right,
Sure.
you got it, you know, you go ahead with it, and you know, I'll step aside. And at the meeting, he was even going to run for school council, this other Libertarian,
Right.
and a couple days later, he's like, all right, no, I just can't do it. I can't. I was like, well, okay. Well, so I marked all this other stuff out
Right.
about him and just submitted this. And I don't know how many days it was up, but pretty soon someone found out, and they started bombing our page, and we had no idea.
Yeah.
And even when we started looking,
Right.
that was, you know, I guess we could have done a better job of looking beforehand, but you know, we talked to the guy, and he'd came around before, especially during the Gary Johnson campaign, 2016. But when we started looking around, we didn't find anything that we say, all right, well, this is definitely the dude, and he definitely did it, and he definitely meant it in this way.
Yeah. Sure.
You know, but we don't have the resources to defend him in any way.
That whenever we talked about him, that was my point. Is just simply, and I even said, we read the article. I said, oh yeah, it's the Elijah Boyd. I know this guy. He's my buddy. And whenever you're running a small political party, you are fighting to get candidates to run. You know, you're trying to get people in there, and it's not easy. You know, if you're a Republican or Democrat, maybe it is a little bit easier. But as a libertarian in a not so libertarian community, it's hard to find candidates. So I mean,
Yeah, and we
it
weren't
happens.
we weren't searching for this guy.
Right.
He contacted us, or someone from his camp contacted us, and I said, hey, yeah, come on by. I'll let you give you the spiel, and we'll decide on there.
Yeah.
And so he came to our meeting, and I mean, he was all right. And if the other guy hadn't, conceded,
Right.
he made concession, I probably wouldn't have went along with it. But
Exactly.
I don't know. I was just unfortunate
Right.
circumstances.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like it's not like the Libertarian Party stood behind the guy. Y'all made the right decision and publicly said, we didn't know any of this.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
But I know personally how tough it is to run a campaign and try and get some kind of attention at all. And I felt hey, we could do this.
Yeah.
It'll be all right. And then it definitely wasn't all right.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly ruffled some feathers.
Exactly. Well, Elijah, we're going to do one more segment here in just a second, but would you like to go ahead and just, plug your website, whatever you've got that you want people to find you at?
Well, yeah, if you can look me up on Facebook, Elijah Boyd for Alabama State House.
Right.
Or electelijah.com. So ElectElijah.com.
And for our people that won't remember that, or listeners that maybe don't hear or read so well, we will hyperlink, in fact, your website in our show notes. So make sure to check for it there. All right, let's keep going.
Big dick Ancap shit. Big dick Ancap shit.
So we did change the bumper we had for that. Is that a bumper? Is that a bumper or is that a drop?
It's not a bumper technically, I don't think, but
I think you're correct. I don't know what that is, but that soundbite, the one we had, wasn't so great. So pound off in the comments. Let us know about the new one. Adam, you've got some stuff about Georgia to talk about?
Yeah.
Take it away.
This is kind of my mic. This is kind of a funny mix-up that we had that we're kind of rolling with.
Right.
It was the same day I'd seen a post about an Atlanta school, and I was like, ooh, I want to talk about this on the show. And then just a couple posts later, I'd seen something about Georgia legalizing marijuana. I was like, dude, we'll lump this into one thing. We'll talk about fucking Georgia. And but it turns out that the second one, Georgia legalizing marijuana, was the country of Georgia, and the one that used to be a Russia satellite and is now
Right. If it makes you feel any better, I was not fully aware that there was a country named Georgia.
Well, that does not make me feel better. But, but yeah, okay. I mean, you said it, whatever. But
I've got a funny Georgia story.
all right, go ahead.
So 2008, I was in Iraq, and Russia had encroached across some kind of uninhabited zone in the mountains between them and Georgia. And so all the Georgians that were deployed there along with us, they packed up all their shit and they headed back to Georgia, right? Because they were getting in a war with Russia.
Yeah, they thought it was about to go down.
Yeah. And so they packed up all their stuff, but also our Humvees, they tried to put in connexes and take back to Georgia with them. And they had drained all of the oil from generators.
Really?
Yeah, they apparently oil is so scarce over there that they would take used motor oil from generators. It's been, these things go for weeks, and they drained all the oil out of these generators.
They were taking everything.
They took everything, man.
Dang, that's crazy.
Oh man, I never did see it, but I heard that when they first would get into country, any time they'd have a new rotation,
Right.
as they go to the mess hall, or the cafeteria, and they would just load up their pockets with all the different stuff that was just laying out there, and it is like going into a buffet,
Yeah.
Right.
in the cafeterias there, but none of it was in their culture,
Right.
Yeah.
And so it was all right, this is the last time I'm going to eat like this,
Right.
better load up, and I'm making light of it, but I guess it's not very fun
Yeah.
to live in that situation.
Yeah.
Now I feel like an asshole.
No, I don't. The only real point I want to make about this, or the only interesting tagline to add along to this story about Georgia is one that's a good thing. They say it's probably a sort of a move to get into the EU, but who knows about all that. But really, it's a big step for Georgia because, just so you get the idea, they have one of the most strict anti-drug laws in the world. If you get caught with an MDMA pill in Georgia, you're getting 8 years in jail.
Jesus.
Yeah. If you get caught with more, up to 20 years. Also, the policemen there can approach you whenever they want and drug test you. And if you're positive, you're fucked.
Like,
So yeah,
if you punch somebody in the face and get like 75 years, I'd be okay with that.
It's at least
Right?
proportionate.
Make it proportionate.
Yeah.
right.
But,
if you've done nothing wrong, 8 years.
Yeah, exactly.
If you punch someone in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy how strict they are. It's so weird that they made such a big jump. I guess it's something that had been gaining a lot of support over there, and the government wasn't doing anything about it until they finally, I guess, they were like, all right, let's do it, fuck it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But so that's cool. Good for them. And I'm just proud that more places are making movements that way.
Yeah.
And I'm disappointed that it's not the state of Georgia
Yeah.
because then I would only be a couple hours away.
Right.
So, but whatever, in time. So the other Georgia story is about an Atlanta school. Not the same Georgia, of course.
Of course.
It turns out this is Atlanta, Georgia, the country. No, I'm just kidding. But
They don't share a border with Russia?
no, this one does not. This one shares a border with Alabama,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
South
Florida?
Carolina.
South Carolina,
Yeah.
maybe Tennessee. Yeah, Tennessee. for sure.
Probably.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, I didn't have the article pulled up. Please hold. Here we go.
So there. Oh,
So I was quick.
I was about to bust out that Aretha Franklin
No.
joke.
I am
Oh, man.
Yeah.
quick draw McGraw
We'll wait to
over
the next
here.
episode.
Yeah.
I can while you're working on that, just go ahead and say the next episode of the Ancap Barber Shop is going to be the 50th episode.
Hooray.
So get ready because we're gonna do something.
We're gonna flip this bitch upside down. We're gonna do it differently.
Yeah, we're gonna do something because it's gonna be the 50th episode,
Mhm.
and we don't know exactly what yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read quickly from this article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But so Atlanta AP. Students at an Atlanta school will no longer say the Pledge of Allegiance to start their school day. Which, right off the bat, that sounds great. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was never really one for saying the pledge. I kind of went through like a patriotic phase when I was younger and did it for a little bit. But for the most part, I don't think many people do anymore. Did you guys say the pledge when you were in school? Like,
Oh, I did it when I was in school.
Yeah,
you
we-
actually stood up and did it, though? Like, you participated?
Yeah.
Everybody did whenever
I didn't know
was-
I'd have a choice.
Yeah.
Really? Dude, it's crazy. When I went to school, which, I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit
You
of
went to
time
school
gap.
in the city though.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I was out in the county.
Like, they would do the Pledge of Allegiance over the intercom, and 75% of the class would just, like, lay their heads down and chill.
Really?
Like, not in protest or anything, just be like, fuck, it's a stupid-ass fucking Pledge of
Yeah,
Allegiance.
I'm
again.
not. Yeah.
I'm tired of this shit,
yeah.
Oh,
But,
what's the educational value in it?
There's none.
Yeah.
Other
It's
than
just
some
fucking
weird,
indoctrination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this weird idea that we have to be patriotic to a
Yeah.
flag,
Yeah,
to,
you should just recite one of the Bill of Rights every morning.
yeah.
Yeah, there you
And
go.
that would be patriotic
It's,
and shoving it to the man.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So, anyways, continuing on, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reports that Atlanta Neighborhood Charter School on Tuesday announced the change in new release. Elementary campus president Laura Zelsky told parents it has become increasingly obvious during the past couple of years that more people were choosing not to stand or recite the pledge. It's weird that they have a campus president and not a principal. It's a weird thing. But anyways, school officials say students will continue to be asked to stand to participate in the school's wolf pack chant each morning, though.
Oh,
Yeah, which I don't. So now I don't know if they were already doing that or if they replaced it with that.
So what's a wolf pack chant?
I don't know.
It-
Yeah, who knows? So they want them to participate in some sort of weird ritualistic
Right.
thing still.
indoctrinate the
Yeah.
kids with the wolf pack.
Yeah. But here's where it gets even a little more screwy. Also, teachers will work with students to create a school pledge that will focus on civic responsibility to the students, school, family, community, country, and our global society. So they started off with something good. They were going to get rid of the pledge, and now they're just going to replace it with a different pledge.
And that's the all shit.
yeah.
That's the all shit. Yeah.
I
I wanted to be proud, and I wanted to thank these guys for doing
Right.
something cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I can do that anymore.
I mean,
Right.
that's actually the mindset of all of these folks is that okay, well, this is bad. This is bad. It's hurting people,
Right.
but we can do better.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do this better.
It's always repeal and replace, not just repeal. You
Right.
know, it's never
Right.
It's I don't know. Why
Yeah,
can't
repeal
they-
and stop there.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
repeal. That's it. There you go. Bam.
I don't know. I'm sure you want to like cut this off at some point. Do you have time for one more thing?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Absolutely.
So, on the ballot in November will be the 10 Commandments Amendment.
Oh, okay.
Have you all heard about this yet?
Uh-uh.
So in Alabama, they're going to allow constitutionally, when constitutionally presented, the bill of, the 10 Commandments to be posted on courthouses, schools, and other
I actually have heard a little bit
state-owned-
about this. Maybe.
owned properties.
Mhm.
And it's been fought
Mm-hmm.
and lost many times. Most famously, Roy Moore and his
Yeah.
gargantuan display of this
Right.
in Alabama that lost him his seat on the Alabama Supreme
Yeah.
Court. It's not right.
Yeah.
No.
Like if you're in North Alabama or anywhere in Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
you'd need to register to vote and go out there for this reason alone. It's going to be an uphill battle to defeat this.
Right.
I think this is the cowbell, or the dinner bell for all the Republicans to come home and fend off the blue wave or the Libertarian wave right here.
Libertarian wave. Hell yeah.
But yeah, our kids don't need to be.
Yeah,
I
it's. I mean, that should be like a private property issue. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you like the 10 Commandments and you want to incorporate that with, I mean, this is a tragedy of the commons thing. If you want to incorporate that into a public property setting, then guess what's going to happen? The Church of Satan is going to come and they're going to put their Baphomet next to it. So if you don't like that, then maybe you should just, put your 10 Commandments on your property, and
Where
then
you're allowed
that's
to, yeah.
cool. I don't care what you do. That it's just it's silly.
If you're going to do something like put the 10 Commandments on public property or want that, you're gonna have to also be okay with people
Yeah.
putting Baphomet on
Right.
them or whatever.
Yeah, the flying spaghetti monster.
Dude, I am a Pastafarian from a long time ago.
It's really the whole Satanic Temple thing. They actually go around and they do that like with their own private money. They pay they lobby to have those things put up, and then they pay for it themselves. So it's I don't know. I'm kind of okay with it.
So yeah, this they're arguing, saying that this will bring back morals. That this is going to stop the
Right.
moral decay of America, and I just think
That's
this is
a
like a
joke.
meme. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh,
A statue.
10 Commandments is posted. I'm done.
Yeah.
Morals are fixed.
We're fixing everybody.
Yeah. So for our right wing listeners, that's kind of almost the same thing as just like, well, we've got a gun free zone. What's a criminal gonna do? And I don't know. Maybe that's not the best comparison, but I'm just trying to piss off right wing people.
Yeah.
So, eat a fucking dick.
So for agnostics and atheists, for anyone of any other faith except
Right.
for Judeo-Christianity, the first 4 commandments
Right.
are bullshit,
Right.
right?
I mean, absolutely.
I am the Lord thy God.
Yeah.
You don't have anyone before me. Don't make any graven images. Keep the Sabbath holy. Remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. And then the don't use the Lord's name in
Yeah,
vain.
Even like honor thy mother and father is like,
Yeah.
well, what if your mom's a fucking junkie?
Right.
Maybe I want to go live with somebody else.
Right. I mean, there should be 2 commandments: don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. Right.
Perfect.
I'm with it.
Yeah.
And if you're the government, don't take people's stuff to hurt people.
Right. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, excellent. I think that's a perfect place to tie it up.
I think so.
To tie it off, and inject the needle of liberty into. Okay. So there are costs associated with the production of the Ancap Barber Shop, and we would like to bring you more content. If you would like to help us out, we conveniently offer an abundance of avenues to do so. You can buy an Ancap Barber Shop t-shirt, make a one-time or recurring donation through Bitcoin, give a per-episode donation of as little as $1 an episode using Patreon, or even advertise on the Ancap Barber Shop. Flex your free market muscles and go to ancapbarbershop.com. You can also find us on facebook.com/Ancap Barbershop. Search Ancap Barbershop on YouTube, Twitter, and IG at Ancap Barber, or send us an email at feedback@ancapbarbershop.com. Oh, I'm sorry. Or also leave us a voicemail at 256-607-3197. And of course, don't forget to go to electelijah.com and support his campaign. Well, gentlemen, this has been fun. I've had a good time. This is very different from how our shows have kind of been going. It's a nice little change of pace.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about more political stuff instead of just old men that are trying to get white women to beat the shit out of them and hang weights off their 2-inch dicks and stuff like that.
I've come a long way since last week.
I had to do one.
God damn,
I
I
had
told
to do
you
one.
not to.
Okay, well, look, that's that's what we got today. You guys have a good one, worms.
This has been a Pax Libertas Productions podcast.